Hey G-fans, with Godzilla King of the Monsters right around the corner, I thought it'd be the perfect time to continue with my How Big series with a look at Titanus Rodan of the Monsterverse. Beyond the animated universe, Godzilla and Ghidorah from King of the Monsters are the largest incarnations of either kaiju in the live-action films. I'm curious to see if the same can be said for Rodan when compared to other kaiju, titans, and famous monuments. First off, let's take a look at the general measurements for the Flying Titan. Rodan stands at 154 feet or 46.9 meters tall and weighs 35,419 metric tons. On top of that, the monster has a wingspan of 871 feet or 265.5 meters. The Showa version of Godzilla is nearly a match for the standing Rodan at almost 3 meters taller with a 50-meter height. For some real perspective though, I think we need to take a look at some of the other flying kaiju from the Toho universe and beyond. We've already seen Rodan try to take on Ghidorah in the King of the Monsters trailer, so let's do a comparison here to see how brave or crazy the Titan version of Rodan really is. We already have the measurements for Rodan, so let's take a look at the Monsterverse Ghidorah. At the top of its heads, when standing, it's 521 feet tall or 158.8 meters high. As for its weight, it comes in at 127,964 metric tons, making it over 3 times the height and 3.5 times the weight of our flying A-bomb. I don't have a wingspan for Ghidorah yet, but you can guarantee it's much larger than Rodan's. I'd be worried for the Titan if not for the fact that he is more at home in the skies than anyone else. So how about some other more standard size flying kaiju? Let's begin with Mothra here from her solo film, as that was the biggest size for her of the era. The original Moth kaiju in her imago form was 80 meters or 262 feet long, with a wingspan of 250 meters or 821 feet and a weight of 15,000 metric tons. This version was twice the length of Rodan, yet with a smaller wingspan and only about half the weight. The biggest Heisei version of the Moth was a bit shorter in length at 65 meters or 213 feet long, with a 175 meter or 574 foot wingspan and a weight of 20,000 metric tons. As for the Titan version of Mothra, I only have her wingspan measurement officially released so far, but it's just shy of Rodan's, coming in at 803 feet, only 68 feet shorter. So Rodan is bigger than every version of Mothra from the past, including Final Wars or her Titan iteration. So let's take a look at some of the other versions of Rodan for comparison. The biggest Showa Rodan from the original Godzilla films was 50 meters or 164 feet tall, the same height as the Showa era's Godzilla. It had a wingspan of 120 meters or 394 feet and weighed in at 15,000 metric tons. This was a taller Rodan, but it had half the weight and a much smaller wingspan. The biggest of the Heisei Rodans was even taller at 70 meters high, further dwarfing the CO.AG with a 150 meter or 492 foot wingspan and a weight now of 16,000 metric tons. Not to be outdone and double the height of that original G, Rodan of Final Wars was 100 meters tall or 328 feet, now seen eye to eye with the later Heisei Godzilla as well as the 6 eyes of the Showa King Ghidorah. That is one huge Titan. Rodan also had a 200 meter or 656 foot wingspan, closing in on the enormous wingspan of the Titan version at 265 meters or 871 feet. Ghidorah may be bigger, but with a wingspan to size ratio like Titanus Rodan's, he is likely the true king of the skies. Getting away from Mothra and other versions of Rodan, let's see how Megaguirus stacks up next to the Flying Titan. Megaguirus is 50 meters or 164 feet in height, equal to the Showa Rodan and Godzilla. It has a wingspan of 80 meters or 262 feet, almost 2/3 smaller than Rodan's, and it only weighed 12,000 metric tons. So it's pretty obvious that this take on Rodan is likely the top flyer for all 3 of the original Toho Godzilla eras. But how would it stand, or better yet fly, next to Hypergauss of the Gamera universe? This version of Gauss was 88 meters or 289 feet tall, bigger than every Rodan, yet it had a much smaller wingspan at 190 meters or 623 feet and was a total lightweight at only 78 metric tons, putting Gauss in a category much further down below Titanus Rodan. For one last kaiju comparison, I thought I'd take a look at Otachi, the beast from Pacific Rim, who surprised everyone and broke out wings for its final attack. This is huge, standing at 63 meters or 207 feet tall. There is no wingspan listed for the creature, but a good guess is around 152 meters or 500 feet, still much smaller than Titanus Rodan. And it was way lighter at only 2,440 metric tons versus 35,419 metric tons. Now I see why Rodan is fine with solo attacking Ghidorah in King of the Monsters, and why that clip shows him on top after their mid-air collision. Titanus Rodan is the strongest flying kaiju out there. While we're at it, let's see how Rodan measures up against some more natural items. The largest pterosaur found to date is Quetzalcoatlus. I hope I said that right and probably didn't. This flyer was the size of a Cessna 172 private plane at 3 meters or 10 feet long, with a wingspan of 10 to 11 meters or 33 to 36 feet, and a weight of around 440 to 550 pounds. The 747-800 aircraft isn't even a match at 250 feet or 76.3 meters long, with a wingspan of 224 feet or 68 meters. Even when we look to the plane with the biggest wingspan ever, the Stratolaunch, it only sits at 117 meters or 385 feet. Rodan is still the wingspan champ here at 871 feet or 265.5 meters. The Titan's wingspan would equal that of 2.4 football fields or 2.9 Statues of Liberty. Even when standing up, the monster would be just shorter than the Arc de Triomphe at 160 feet tall and the Leaning Tower of Pisa at 185 feet. This has given me an entirely newfound respect for Rodan. It's not like I clowned him before, but it took looking into the numbers to see who really is the king of the skies in both the Toho and Legendary film universes. I hope you guys like this entry into the How Big series. I would love to follow up with the Monsterverse Mothra, but they haven't released those larva stats and they haven't given a height yet for her imago form, so I may hold off on that video until I have some more information. What kaiju or giant creatures do you want to see next on the How Big series? And what are some good comparison monsters and monuments that I'm forgetting about? Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts and suggestions down in the comments.